Hi, this video is the second video in a 3-video series on adding and subtracting positive and negative fractions and mixed numbers. Today, in the second video, we are just going to focus on adding and subtracting positive mixed numbers. Alright, so these are the 6 problems that we are going to practice together. We're going to find a common denominator and then add or subtract the fractions. We may have to borrow, which we will review together in case you don't remember how to borrow. Alright, so let's get into it. Here we go. First, mixed numbers. We have 8 1/4 plus 5 1/2. We want to start this problem by first doing our common denominator. So when I look at my denominators here, I have a 4 and a 2. So if I count by 4s, 4, 8, 12, 16, and I count by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, I want to find something they have in common. The smallest number is going to be a 4. So let's go ahead and use 4s in our denominator. Now remember, the first fraction is already as fourths. It's 1/4, so let's just bring the 1 over. The second fraction, though, we are going to have to multiply in order to get our denominator to be a 4. So we're going to have to multiply by 2 and do the same thing on the top. So we get 2/4. Now we're going to go ahead and add these two fractions together. 1/4 plus 2/4 is 3/4. Now don't forget about these two numbers in the front. We have 8 plus 5, which is 13. So our final answer is 13 3/4. Okay, let's go ahead and try the second problem. In our denominators, we have a 3 and a 6. So if we count by 3s and count by 6s, 3, 6, 9, 12, or 6, 12, 18. I do notice that they both have a 6 in common, so let's go ahead and use 6s for our denominators. Since the second fraction already has a 6 in the denominator, we can just bring the 5 over. However, our first fraction, we are going to have to multiply by 2 in order to get thirds into sixths. So if I multiply the top by 2 as well, I'm going to get 2/6. Now, this is a subtraction problem. So if I go ahead and subtract 2/6 minus 5/6, I'm finding that I can't do 2 minus 5. So when we're dealing with mixed numbers here, we're not going to go negative when we're just looking at these fractions. We actually have to borrow. So if you do not remember how to borrow, here's how it works. The 2/6 is too small. So what we need to do is take a look at the whole number that's in the front, and we're going to borrow from it. So the 9, we're going to borrow from the 9 and make it an 8. What happens when you do that is you're taking one whole number away and you're going to add it to this fraction 2/6. So 1 whole is equal to 6/6. So we're going to add 6/6 plus 2/6, and that's going to give us a fraction that is big enough to subtract. So 6/6 plus 2/6 is 8/6. And then we also have this 5/6 down here that we haven't used yet, so let's bring that over. Now, if you notice, we can subtract. So 8/6 minus 5/6 is 3/6. And then we can go ahead and subtract our numbers in the front. 8 minus 4 is 4. This does need to be reduced, however, to 4 1/2. Okay, let's go ahead and look at number 3. So first thing we need to do is go ahead and find a common denominator between 10 and 2. I do notice that 2 goes into 10, and so that means we can use 10 for our common denominator. Once I have those set up, I'm going to go ahead and see what I need to multiply each fraction by. My top fraction already has a 10 in the denominator, so I'm just going to bring the 3 over. However, in the bottom, I'm going to have to multiply by 5, and so that gives me 5/10. Now we're going to go ahead and add. 3/10 plus 5/10 is 8/10. And then don't forget over here, 6 plus 2 is equal to 8. Yep, we do need to reduce this. So if we divide the numerator and denominator by 2, we get 8 4/5. All right, on to the next one. Go ahead and write down problem number 4. And then we're going to go ahead and find a common denominator between 4 and 5. So if I think of my multiples of 5 and multiples of 4, I'm going to use a 20. So for my top fraction, I have 1/5. So in order to get from fifths to 20ths, I'm going to have to multiply by 4. So let's do that to the numerator and the denominator. My second fraction, 3/4, I'm going to have to multiply that by 5 in order to get my new numerator. And now this is a subtraction problem. So if I try to do 4/20 minus 15/20, I can't do that, and so I'm going to go ahead and borrow. So once again, let's go through the steps of borrowing. Since the 4 is too small, we're going to borrow from the 7 and make it a 6. What that does is take that one whole number and we need to add it to our 4/20. So an easy way to add 1 to 4/20 is to add 20/20 to 4/20. That makes 24/20. Now we can go ahead and subtract 24/20 minus 15/20. And that's going to equal 9/20. And then we come over here to our whole numbers in front, and we have a 6 minus 3, which is equal to 3. So our answer is 3 and 9/20. All right, here we go on to the next one. Let's jump right in. Let's go ahead and find our common denominator between 4/9 and 2/3. Our common denominator is going to be 9. Since our first fraction is already in the ninths, we have 4/9, we're just going to leave the 4 alone. However, in our second fraction, we're going to multiply our numerator and our denominator by 3. Then when we add these two together, we get 10/9, and our whole numbers in front, 12 plus 1 is equal to 13. Now the only problem with this answer is that we have an improper fraction right here, so we need to go ahead and change that to a mixed number. So 10/9, really that is 1 and 1/9, but then we can't forget about this 13 in front, so we need to add that to the 1 and 1/9, and so our final answer is 14 and 1/9. Okay, last problem. Here we go. Number 6. Common denominator between 4 and 12 is going to be 12. So we're going to set our fractions up so that we have 12s in the denominator. This first fraction right here, I'm going to multiply my denominator and numerator by 3. That's how I get the 12s. My second fraction already has 12 in the denominator, so it's kind of like multiplying by 1. The 7 is going to remain a 7. Now I need to subtract 3/12 minus 7/12. I can't do that, so now here we go with the borrowing. So we're going to borrow from 30 and make it a 29. That 1 that we took away, 12/12, we have to add to 3/12. That gives us 15/12. Now we can go ahead and subtract 15/12 minus 7/12. That's 8/12. And then 29 minus 8 is 21. One more step. Let's go ahead and reduce. If we divide them both by 4, we get 21 and 2/3. And that's our final answer. Okay, nice job. Okay, so now it's your turn. I'm going to have you pause the video, go ahead and solve numbers 8, 9, and 10, and then play the video to check your answers. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at number 8. So I've already set these up with common denominators. On number 8, we should have 4/18 minus 9/18. Since we can't actually do 4 minus 9, we're going to go ahead and borrow. That means we need to add 18/18 to our top fraction right here. That gives us 22/18 minus 9/18, so that's 13/18. And then 8 minus 8 is 0, so our final answer is 13/18. For our second problem, our common denominator was 20. And so I end up with 5/20 plus 14/20. That's 19/20. And then in the front, I have a 5 plus nothing, which is just 5. So our answer is 5 and 19/20. And then the last one, common denominator was 24. 16 minus 21 we can't do, so let's go ahead and borrow from the 27, make it a 26. Then again, we have to add in 24 24ths to 16 24ths. That is 40 24ths. And now we can go ahead and subtract 40 and 21, that's 19. And then 26 minus 6 is 20. So our final answer is 20 and 19 24ths. All right, good job, everybody.